Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. This session focuses on social media and writing practices in Pakistan. I hope and expect by the end of this session, you would have some conscious awareness of how the writing practices in Pakistan are being influenced by social media. Well, my dear students, before I move forward, I would like to make it a point that the purpose of the session is not to give you examples of the writing style that is used in Pakistan with reference to social media. I'm not going to focus on the examples from the language use and usage in Pakistan, because I know that you already, because you being members of the younger community, you use social media more than me, so you already are aware of all those examples. What I'm going to focus on is what is the kind of awareness or consciousness that is required to look into these sociolinguistic practices that are taking place in Pakistan in terms of writing practices, and what, as the students of sociolinguistics, you need to focus on in order to examine or in order to analyze. So, starting with the sociocultural context of Pakistan, when it comes to the writing practices in Pakistan, there are a couple of things that are important for us, when we compare it with speaking. When it comes to speaking, people have a lot of varieties of languages available. In Pakistan, almost everybody is a multilingual, which means every person uses more than one languages. Urdu is being used as the national language and English as the official language. But alongside these, people have their local or regional languages in their linguistic repertoire as well. But when it comes to writing, there are choices that are comparatively limited. Generally speaking, people in Pakistan write either in Urdu or in English. And the learning of these writing practices comes through education. It comes through schooling in Pakistan. When we look at the linguistic hierarchy in Pakistan, of course, the status of English is higher as compared to Urdu. Urdu follows as the next, and this is followed by, the regional languages. So when we relate this idea to the idea of writing practices, then writing in English is considered to be a more prestigious activity in Pakistan as well. English language is used as a tool to write when it comes to official letters, when it comes to the governmental procedures, plannings, projects, etc. It is used for documenting, and it is also used for creating literary texts, in English language as well. However, Urdu is simultaneously used, and Urdu is actually frequently, rather I would say more frequently used in comparatively less formal spheres of writing in Pakistan. A lot of literature is written in Urdu language. Then apart from them, from the literature, the I would say, formal activities of almost all the domains, they are, when it comes to writing, they are conducted or they are carried out in Urdu language. As far as other languages, the regional languages are concerned, yes, sometimes, rarely, I would say, people would write in them, and the ability that people exhibit in writing in these languages is not found very frequently. It is very rare. Though some literature, of course, is written in languages, for example, in Punjabi and in Saraiki and in other languages. Now, when we relate this whole complex scene, the social context of using writing, in Pakistan, and when we relate it to the social media and the interrelationship of social media and writing practices in Pakistan, there are certain things that I would like to point out. The first thing that we need to point out is the role of youth and their aspirations and inspirations. When it comes to social media and the use of writing here, the practices of writing texts, the practices of sending messages, the practices of using different websites, etc., for communicating in written form, in all these cases, it is most of the times that youth is involved. And the aspirations, as far as the inspirations and aspirations of this youth are concerned, there are more global tendencies, I would say, They aspire to be modern, they aspire to be urbanized, they aspire to be westernized as well. And that is why the writing practices in English language in Pakistan are far more, popular and are far more frequent as compared to the use of Urdu language. When it comes to the use of language on social media, the language is used in certain ways. The language choices that are made, in practice are either using English or using Roman English. What does it mean? Using Urdu language, but writing it in the English alphabet, thus creating Roman English. This is one of the major trends of writing that we find on social media in Pakistan. Apart from that, abbreviations are used, acronyms are used. I'm sure you are aware of these abbreviations and acronyms. Contractions are used where the words are contracted to fit into those messages where the frame is comparatively very precised. And particularly, I would like to refer to two practices, that is of code switching and of code mixing on social media. But I hope you know code switching is switching from language A to language B in the process of, linguistic interaction with various reasons. For example, to show identity, to show affiliation, depending upon the context, etc. So, for example, when I am talking to one of my, professors, my colleagues, I am talking in English, and then immediately I shift, for example, to Urdu when I have to, for example, to talk to my driver in the university, for example. So this shift from English to Urdu and vice versa would be called code switching. Whereas, just to remind you what is code mixing, this is the mixing of words or phrases of one language into the other. They are embedded in that. So, for example, when I say, for example, meri books kahan hain? This use of word books in an Urdu sentence, how it is embedded. This is an example of code mixing, by the way. Now, relating these two practices to social media, this is very significant from the sociolinguistic point of view in Pakistan. Because if we look at the social media practices today in Pakistan, we find code mixing more than code switching. A lot of frequent, I would say, code mixing takes place on social media in Pakistan, and it reflects in a way the sociolinguistic structure of Pakistan, where otherwise code mixing has increased, especially the mixing of English into Urdu and in the regional languages has increased with the passage of time.